You wake up at 6:42 a.m. without an alarm. Not because you're well rested, but because your body has learned the pattern. Your phone lights up. Email, calendar, Slack, the same sequence. Every day. Your bank account shows $3,218. It looked the same last month. It will look the same next month. Your salary hits on the 30th. $4,200 in. $3,900 out within 72 hours. Rent, bills, subscriptions. Small numbers that don't feel small when they stack. You sit at the edge of your bed for a few seconds longer than usual, because something feels off. Not wrong, just unchanged. And that's the problem. You've been moving, working, earning, but nothing is actually moving forward. Most people don't notice this moment. You just did. That's where it starts. Because the system you're inside was never designed to move you forward. It was designed to keep you stable, predictable, replaceable. You felt it before, quietly. The promotion that didn't change anything. The raise that disappeared into expenses. The weekend that ends before it begins. You don't panic. Not anymore. Panic requires hope that something might change. This feels more permanent. You open your laptop. Not for work. For the first time in months, you look at your numbers. Income on one side. Expenses on the other. No gap. No momentum. Just maintenance. And then you notice something else. Every solution you've ever tried was still inside the same system. Work more. Earn more. Spend slightly less. Repeat. It never breaks the loop. Because the loop isn't the problem. The structure is. Money, as you've been using it, isn't building anything. It's just passing through you. And that's when the thought becomes clear. Money is not income. It is a system. And you are not inside the right one. You don't react emotionally to this. You don't need motivation. You need a different structure. So you start small. Not because it's exciting. Because it's available. A brokerage account. Takes 14 minutes to open. You transfer $300. It feels irrelevant. It doesn't solve anything. But that's not the point. You're not trying to solve your life. You're trying to enter a different system. You choose a broad index fund. No strategy. No complexity. You automate $200 every month. The same day your salary hits. Before you can touch it. Before you can think about it. The decision is removed. Nothing changes. You go to work the next day. Same desk. Same screen. Same meetings. But something is different. There is now a second path. Small. Invisible. Controlled. Most people stop here. Because it feels too slow. Too small to matter. You already know that feeling. But you don't stop. Because you're not looking for speed. You're looking for separation. And $200 isn't enough. So you adjust the only variable you control. Time. Your evenings are not empty. They're just unassigned. You take on additional work. Nothing impressive. Data entry. Basic bookkeeping. Admin tasks. Work most people ignore. That's exactly why it pays. The first extra payment is $460. It doesn't feel like income. It feels separate. Unclaimed. You don't upgrade anything. You don't reward yourself. You redirect it. Every dollar goes into the same system you built. No delay. No exceptions. Your days get longer. Your energy drops. You notice it. You don't negotiate with it. Because this phase is not permanent. It's functional. And then something happens. Small. But measurable. You find an error. Inside a set of books you're managing. Expenses miscategorized. Margins distorted. Nothing dramatic. But consistent. You map it out. You present it once. No pitch. No performance. Just numbers. The response is slow. Then it shifts. Because what you saw, they didn't. And that gap matters. You're given more work. Then more. Not because you asked. Because you solved something real. One introduction leads to another. Quietly. That's how it works. Not loudly. Not suddenly. Just connected. You're no longer just working more. You're becoming useful. And usefulness scales differently than effort. your income starts to change. Not dramatically, but directionally. You keep your lifestyle exactly the same. Same apartment. Same routines. No visible upgrades. That's intentional. Because this is where people fail. They increase income and immediately increase identity. You remove that option entirely. The increase never reaches your life. It gets absorbed before it can. The system grows. Quietly, you check your account one night. $9,400 invested. It doesn't feel impressive. But it's the first time the number has moved without resetting. You sit with that for a moment, and then you close the screen, because something else is starting to form. Not money, momentum. And momentum changes how you see risk. An opportunity appears, not labeled as one, just a problem someone wants to offload. An underperforming asset, ignored, undervalued. You look at it differently. Cost, repair, potential income. You run the numbers twice. They hold. Barely. You don't feel confident. That's not required. Clarity is. You move forward. And then it slows down. Applications, rejections, delays. One lender says no, then another. This is where most people stop. Because rejection feels like direction. It isn't. It's filtering. You keep going. Because the numbers still make sense. And that's the only signal that matters. You find a smaller lender. Less rigid. More human. They review your file. Income history. Consistency. Discipline. You wait. Longer than expected. And then, approval. Everything changes. Not externally. Internally. Because for the first time, you're not trading time for money. You've built something that produces. Even if it's small. Even if it's fragile. It exists. And once it exists, the system can expand. If this feels familiar, you're already inside the system. The asset doesn't run perfectly. There are issues. Repairs, delays, structurally, because this was never about ease. It was about control. And now you have it. Just enough to see what comes next. You track every number, every month. No gaps, no assumptions. And slowly, something shifts. You're no longer reacting to money. You're directing it. And that's where the real transition begins. The income from the asset is inconsistent at first. $320 one month, $540 the next. Then a drop. It doesn't matter, because you're not measuring comfort anymore. You're measuring output. Every dollar that comes in gets redirected back into the system. Always the system. Your investment account crosses $15,000. Then $22,000. You don't feel richer. You feel more precise. Because now every decision has a function. Spend or deploy. Consume or compound. You already know which one builds anything. Most people don't make this shift. They reach this stage and slow down. They think they've escaped. They haven't. They've just made the system more comfortable. You don't make that mistake. You keep your lifestyle fixed, rigid, almost boring. Because variability belongs in your assets, not your expenses. Another opportunity appears. This one is different, larger, more complex, higher risk. You don't rush. You model the downside first. If it fails, what happens? Can the system survive it? That's the only question that matters now. You run the numbers twice, then again. They hold. Barely. That's enough. You move forward. And this time you're faster. Because you've done it before. Less hesitation. More clarity. The system expands again. Now there are multiple inputs. Your job. Your side work. Your assets. Each one feeding the same structure. You're no longer dependent on a single source. That's the shift. Not freedom. Stability. Real stability. The kind that doesn't reset every 30 days. Your accounts reflect it now. $48,000 invested. 2 income-producing assets. Cash reserves are building quietly in the background. You don't talk about it. There's nothing to say. From the outside, nothing has changed. Same routines. Same schedule. Same version of you. But internally, Everything is different. You've stepped outside the 9-to-5 trap. Not by leaving your job, but by removing its control. That distinction matters. Because most people think escape looks like quitting. It doesn't. It looks like irrelevance. Your job becomes one input, not your entire system. And once that happens, your decisions change again. You stop asking, how much does this pay? You start asking, what does this produce? Time is no longer your main resource. Capital is. And capital behaves differently. It scales. It compounds. Connects you to opportunities effort never will. You start seeing structures others ignore. Tax advantages.
Entity formation.
Liability separation. You open an LLC. Takes less than 20 minutes. Now your assets sit inside something designed to protect them. Not just grow them. You separate accounts. Operating. Investing. Reserves. Each with a role. Each with a boundary. Because at this level, mistakes are not about effort. They're about exposure. You learn that quickly. A market shift hits. Unexpected. Rents soften. One tenant leaves. Your income drops. Not dramatically, but enough to notice. This is where people panic. You don't. Because you already modeled this. You planned for it. Your reserves absorb the impact. The system holds. That's the difference. Not growth. Survivability. Because growth without survival is temporary, and temporary systems collapse. Yours doesn't. It adjusts. Quietly. You add another asset months later. Then another. Each one selected. Not chased. Because now you understand something most people never do. Opportunity is constant. Capacity is not. You only take what your system can hold. Anything else is noise. Your investment account crosses $100,000. You check the number once. Verify it. Close the screen. No reaction. Because the number was never the goal. The structure was. And the structure is working. Requests start appearing. People notice something. They don't know what. Advice. Help. Money. You don't respond emotionally. You respond structurally. If money moves out, it's documented, defined, controlled. Because you're not building wealth anymore. You're protecting it. That's the next shift. Preservation over acceleration. You study different things now. Not income strategies. Risk. Tax efficiency. Long-term positioning. You think in years. Then decades. Your job still exists. But it doesn't matter. Not in the way it used to. It's optional. Replaceable. Secondary. You could leave. You don't. Not yet. Because now it feeds a system that no longer depends on it. And that's the real escape. Not leaving the 9-to-5. Outgrowing it. You sit one night reviewing everything. Accounts. Assets. Structures. Each piece connected. Each piece intentional. There's no single point of failure anymore. That's new. And rare. You realize something then. The trap was never the job. It was dependence. And you removed it. Piece by piece. Without noise. Without announcement. Just decisions. Repeated. Consistently. Over time. Now the system runs. Even when you don't. Income moves. Allocations follow. Assets adjust. Nothing stops. You're no longer managing money. You're managing a machine. And machines don't care about effort. They respond to design. This isn't about getting rich. It never was. It's about understanding the system. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you build it, you don't go back. The question is no longer how you escape. You already have. The question is, what do you do with a system that no longer needs you tomorrow?